We have a little bit of time left. I wanted to just quickly go through a little lesson in Ayurveda so that you're a little more prepared when you have this one-on-one consult with the Ayushakti doctor. Ayurveda takes a very customized approach. It's very basic and simplistic in its understanding, though it can be very complicated as well. But when you know a couple of the basics, you can learn a lot about your individual constitution, what symptoms you trend toward, what diseases you trend toward, what personality traits you tend toward. And it's just a really great way to learn about yourself. And when you know about yourself, then you can easily identify when you're out of balance. Oh, I've got too much heat. I need to do this. Oh, I've got too much air in me, too much anxiety. I need to do this, right? So I'm going to share my screen real quick. So the 5 elements: ether, air, earth, water, and fire. Everything, according to Ayurveda, is made up of some composition of these 5 elements. We are made up of some composition of these 5 elements. Someone may have more air, someone may have more heat. These are the things that make us individual and unique. Everything in nature is made up of some ratio of these 5 elements. What happens in nature happens in our body. In the summertime, when it's hot outside, the heat rises, our own internal heat rises. So if you're someone with a lot of heat, you can start seeing some of those things, maybe migraines, maybe skin rashes, maybe more anger, those kind of things. The heat elements are coming out. You have a lot of air in you. When the fall hits, when autumn hits, it's the windy season, and some of those excessive air qualities can come out. So there's 3 doshas. The dosha, it's a combination of elements. It's a way of describing how these elements fit within the body. So VATA, if you are a VATA dosha, you are made up of a lot of air and space. If you're a PITTA dosha, you're made up of a lot of fire and water. And if you're a KAPHA dosha, then you have a lot of earth and a lot of water in you. It's possible to be more than one of these. Some people are just predominantly one. Some people have a mixture of 2. I'm a Pitta Vata. That's my constitution. So you can look at your body shape and get a hint as to what you are. So if you look at the top right here at Vata, this is air and space. And you think about the qualities of air and space. It's very light. It's very dry. There's not any water in there. So there's not a lot of fire. There's no fire in a vata. So very cold and very dry. Vata body type is thin. We'll go through some characteristics in a minute, but you can kind of see from her shape, she's more of a vata shape. Let's look at pitta, someone who has a lot of fire and water in them. The pitta shape, the body is more of an athletic build. There's more heat in them. They're not as light because they don't have the air and the space element, right? So there are a lot of heat. You know, the fire helps to control the heat, but the main quality within a pitta is their fire, really strong digestion. They have a lot of digestive fire. If you look at the kapha body type, these are the people that get called bigger boned. These are the ones that are never going to be the little skinny minis, and they should never be because that's not their body type. They are earth and water. And if you think about what happens when you combine earth and water together, it makes mud. It's something that's very fertile. It's something that's very moist, but it's something that's very slow and heavy also. That's the kapha dosha. So let's go through each of these and the characteristics. So a vata dosha, someone who has a lot of vata, typically a small frame, thin, fine hair. It's a lot of times they'll have curly or frizzy hair. They have dry skin. Remember, there's no water in them. They don't have the water and the earth making the mud and the moisture. They don't have any of that. They have prominent joints because they're very thin. It can be hard for them to gain weight. They typically have small facial features, and their veins can be seen easily under the skin. So when these people go to get their blood drawn, the people drawing the blood love them because it's so easy to find a vein. That's vata. Let's go to pitta. So Pitta is the medium frame. It's a very athletic build. They have well-defined muscles. They have a medium amount of hair. Sometimes it can be very fine. There's often premature thinning or graying of hair, and this is just because of all of the heat that they have in the body. If it gets up into the head, that's one of the effects of that. Sometimes they have red hair or freckles. You don't have to have red hair or freckles to be a Pitta. If you see someone with red hair and freckles, they probably have a lot of Pitta in them. They typically have an angular face, a very defined jaw, high cheekbones. Their skin is more oily. They can be more reddish in complexion, and they tend to have deep set eyes. That is the Pitta person. Kapha, someone who's Kapha. They have a very solid frame. They're sturdy. They have larger bones. They tend to be heavier. It doesn't mean that they're fat. They're just not a little skinny mini. Remember, they are earth and water. So very, well, they're fertile, but they're also very moist. And that leads to thick, luscious hair. Usually, not usually, but sometimes it can be curly. Very moist, beautiful skin, soft skin. Large eyes, large, well-formed teeth. Their eye color tends to be a very deep color. They have larger facial features, and they're often pale in complexion. So I'm sure as you're going through this, you're kind of seeing yourself in some of these, maybe one predominantly, or maybe across one or two, and your family members. So you'll start thinking about people in terms of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. The qualities of Vata. So remember, this is space and air. So it's very dry and light. It's cold. There's a roughness. There's a mobile quality. So these are very quick moving. They can make very fast movements, these type of people. The main function of Vata in the body, and actually let me make a point real quick. We all have Vata, Pitta, and Kapha in us. We all have all 5 of those elements within us. If you're a predominantly Vata dosha, you just have more space and air, and you have less of the other ones, but we all have all 5 of these. So the function of Vata within the body, within everyone's body, is transportation. It's the movement of things from one place to another. So it's your own movement and your own mobility as well. It affects your speech, and degeneration of tissues. So when there's movement or change in the body's tissues, degeneration, oftentimes it's because the Vata is too high. You see osteoporosis, a change in the bones are too dry, things like that. When your Vata is in balance, you are very creative and you're quick thinking, you have enthusiasm, you're flexible and you're graceful. A lot of dancers that are really easy to move and spin, they have a lot of Vata in them. They're very light on their feet. But when Vata is in excess, meaning we have too much air in the body, it shows up as dry skin, cold hands and feet, because remember, Vata is very cold. There's not any heat in there. Constipation. So when Vata, the air and the space, gets excessive, it leads to constipation. So there's too much air and dryness within the intestines and the digestive tract. It leads to gas and bloating. Stiff joints and muscles, that's a Vata problem. Arthritis. Osteoporosis, dryness in the bone, makes the bones brittle. Nervous system disorders, you think dryness, you think of nerves, raw nerves, things aren't going well, connections aren't being made with the nerves. There can be tingling and numbness. Chronic pain and fatigue is usually a Vata disorder, too much air in the body. Irregular heartbeat, anxiety, memory issues, and insomnia. So when you see these type of symptoms, you think, there's too much air in the body. It could be in the digestive tract. It could be in the head. It could be in the chest cavity. There's too much air, and there's ways to balance that. And that's what Ayurveda works to do. Pitta, which is fire and water. So remember, we all have Pitta in us. Some people are more predominantly Pitta, which means they'll be affected more by too much heat. But we all do have the element of heat somewhat within us. So it's oily, greasy, light, hot, and liquid. Those are the characteristics of this within us. The main function of the Pitta within our body is transformation. It's fire. It's changing something from one form to another. So this controls our metabolism and our digestion. When Pitta is in balance, we have strong digestion. We can eat whatever, and it's not going to bother us. We're going to digest it well and not have trouble. Very intelligent. So Pitta people are very intelligent. They're driven. They are in leadership positions. They're magnetic personality. They're the people you're drawn to. They're the people you want to follow and get behind their cause. They're passionate about what they do. That is a healthy form of having a lot of fire in you. When you have too much fire, when pitta is in excess, there's a heat intolerance, there's hair loss or early graying, headaches and migraines, excessive sweating, acne or skin rashes. So heat shows up in the body as it comes out through the skin or through the membranes or through migraines, right? That's how the heat manifests. So skin diseases, nosebleeds, blood disorders. So too much heat in the body affects the blood. Excess inflammation. Um, with autoimmune conditions, a lot of times that is excessive heat in the body mixed with toxicity in the body leads to an autoimmune type condition. Heartburn and acid reflux is classic pitta, too much heat in the body, ulcers, diarrhea and loose stools. So whereas vata, which is too much air, was constipation, too much heat leads to diarrhea. You eat and right away you process it and it just goes out. You're not absorbing anything from that food. Liver disease is a pitta quality, feelings of anger and jealousy and feelings of impatience. So when the pitta, the heat is too high, that's how it manifests. And kapha. So this is earth and water. This is your heavier framed person. Kapha, and we all have kapha within us, it deals with the support and the structure of the body. So kapha lubricates and moisturizes the tissues and it maintains their smooth functioning. And it heals wounds. So, when you think of mud, you think very fertile and things grow and things heal. So when kapha is in balance, there's a feeling of contentment, there's compassion, forgiveness. These are very loving people. Everyone needs a kapha friend because they're very compassionate and they want to sit on the couch with you and just share and know how you're feeling. They're very loyal people. They have great strength and stamina, great memory, and a healthy repair and regeneration of tissues. That's when the kapha in us is appropriate. When it's in excess, there's slow digestion. Remember, earth and water makes mud. Mud moves very slowly. So there's slow digestion, excess mucus in the body, congestion, sinusitis, bronchitis and lung issues, frequent cough and colds, depression, right? You think slow moving, depression. There's difficulty with initiating things, laziness, excessive sleeping. Kaphas need the least amount of sleep, but when they're imbalanced and they have too much kapha, they can just sleep forever. And all they want to do is lay around. Edema, water retention, and cysts. So if you think of cysts and fibroids, very fertile. This soil, this water earth combination is very fertile for growing things, even things that we don't want to grow. So that's what we see when kapha is too high. So this is the last slide we'll do tonight. There are two secrets to good health according to Ayurveda. One is you balance your doshas, vata, pitta, kapha. We are all born with a very specific constitution, right? You might be 60% vata, 30% kapha, and 10% pitta. And when your elements are in balance within that ratio, you're at your peak of health. But if you go through something in life and your pitta starts getting too high, right? Maybe you graduate from college and you've got to get ahead and you have to get this drive and you're working and ambition and drive and it builds up this heat in the body. Well, at some point, the pitta in you is going to get too high for your constitution. And then you're going to experience those symptoms of high pitta, right? So, there's life stresses that can affect our balance. There's diet that affects our balance. All of these things get us out of balance. And then we need to balance the doshas because that's one of the two secrets to good health. We've got to balance the doshas, bring it back into our own individual balance, the balance that's perfect for us because we're each different. The second thing is we need to eliminate toxins. There's physical, mental, emotional toxins, right? Physical is our diet, the air that we're breathing, all of these things. It's just an onslaught of toxicity in the world today. So everybody needs to detox regularly just to be part of this society. That's the physical toxins. The mental toxins are our belief systems. Most of them are formed before age 7. We didn't get to choose the majority of our belief systems, but we can see them reflected back to us now in our life situations. And that's how we know, oh, man, I can't hold this job down. I'm running this program that we need to heal at the mental level and change our mental beliefs, subconscious reprogramming. We'll work on that in the 3rd month. And then emotional toxins. These are from past traumas, big T traumas, little t traumas, anything that we didn't process. There's a great book called Molecules of Emotion. And every time we feel an emotion, a neuropeptide, a chemical is created in the body. The body knows how to metabolize it perfectly. Within 90 seconds, that emotion gets metabolized like clockwork. Everything's running great. When does it not get metabolized? When our mind gets involved. We judge the emotion or we resist the emotion. I don't want to feel this fear. I shouldn't feel this anger. Oh, this sadness is too much. I can't feel it right now. Let me go grab a drink. Let me go call a friend. Let me go do something else. And those things don't get processed. And so in month 2, we'll work on processing those emotional toxins. So 2 secrets to good health: balance those doshas, the 5 elements, and eliminate the toxins from the body. And so that'll be the focus of Dr. Hamong, or whichever Ayurvedic doctor you're with. It's most likely Dr. Hamong. And that's what we'll work on. Let me stop sharing. I kind of blew through that. That was a lot of information. Do you guys have any questions on that?
What are some ways you balance the doshas?
Diet is one of the big ways. If you have high pitta, you're not going to want to eat a lot of meat because that increases heat in the body. You're not going to want to drink a lot of alcohol because that increases heat. You don't want to eat foods with a hot spice. There's different spices, but a heating spice, you want to stay away from the heating spices. Pitta, doing meditation and having some downtime during the day is really important. So you don't just go, 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 go. You actually calm down and let some of that cool off and release. There's certain breathing techniques you can do for high pitta that brings coolness into the body. So there's life, and there's herbs that you take to release the excess heat in the body. So a mixture of diet, herbs, lifestyle, breathing techniques, all of that. And we'll have those recommendations. I can share those, and then the Ayurvedic doctors will share those as well. Do you guys know what dosha you are just by seeing that? Do you have an idea?
No, it seems like I can identify with something in all of them.
Something in all of them, Marilyn?
I think pitta.
Pitta.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we all have all of them, and they can all be out of balance within us. Even if you're predominantly VATA, the KAPHA, the earth and the water, can become imbalanced within you, right? It's just that if you're predominantly VATA, you're more prone to the VATA tendencies. But we have all of them in us.
Is it wrong to go about it by actually seeing, like, if you're identifying with more of the out of balance things than the than the imbalance things?
That's how most of it works, because most of us
Okay.
are out of balance according to our birth constitution. And so we're going to notice in our lives what's out of balance in us. And so that's our clue that, okay, I have too much heat in the body because I have 5 things on this list. I need to cool off.
I think so. I just found myself, as you were going through them and explaining, thinking, oh, that's me, but more based on things in the out of balance column than the imbalance column.
Right. And I think it's our tendency to notice what's out of balance because it's really affecting our lives a lot more.
Okay.
I think I may be kava, and what is the other one? Pitta.
Pitta? The kapha?
Yeah. Them two, they look familiar with the symptoms.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what the Ayurvedic doctor says as well. So,
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments before we wrap up tonight?
Well, it seems that we all are over here for self-love and healing, you know, even though we have had different lives, we all have our struggles with different, like you say, the little T's, the big T's, the, you know, the fears, the anxiety, wanting to feel the best, you know, wanting to feel better and do the best that we can do, you know, for our lives.
Yes. And you know what I see in people right now is a strong urge to heal and change what isn't working in their lives. You know, there's something about what's happened in the last 2 years that has brought this out in people. And when we heal at the physical, the emotional, and the mental levels, when we peel back the things that aren't truly who we are, what emerges is who we are. And the energies that we have been giving toward fighting the toxins and keeping the emotions repressed, all the energies that have been going toward that, once those things are resolved, that energy is still there and it's no longer occupied with this stuff. And so those energies come in and they say, what am I here for? What am I passionate about? What am I supposed to do in the world? What is my life purpose? How am I supposed to contribute? And it's a whole new ball game at that point. So that's the path that I see us on. We have to take care of these other things first. But then this is what emerges. So I'm excited to go through this and witness this with all of you. I thank you for your trust. I thank you for all of your beautiful comments tonight and your shares and your willingness to be vulnerable and open yourself up and go through this program. It's going to be transformative. It is.